Have you ever wondered why a modern steel axe just a couple of years old is already flaking away with orange rust, while an ancient iron axe forged over 800 years ago still looks solid and strong in a museum? How can something hammered out in a simple clay furnace outlast our modern industrial steel by centuries? The answer isn't magic. It's forgotten chemistry. It's a story about the perfection of imperfection, a secret to longevity that we lost in our chase for speed and efficiency. Modern steel is incredibly efficient, but surprisingly fragile. It's made from highly purified iron ore, stripped of almost everything else. No slag, no phosphorus. This is fantastic for mass production, but it's terrible for long-term survival. Medieval wrought iron, on the other hand, was full of what we would call flaws. It contained glassy slag and other trace elements that, completely by accident, made it almost immortal. Here's how it works. When modern steel starts to rust, the corrosion digs deep. A tiny crack becomes a gateway for oxygen and moisture, and the rust just tunnels its way inward, eating the metal from the inside out. But medieval iron had a built-in defense system. Inside the metal were thousands of microscopic, glassy fibers of slag. When corrosion started, it would hit one of these slag strings and be forced to spread sideways instead of digging deeper. Over time, this process created a natural, protective layer, a patina that sealed the surface. The rust didn't destroy the iron. It actually ended up preserving it. But that's not the only secret ingredient. There was also phosphorus. Medieval blacksmiths had no idea what phosphorus was, but they knew that certain local ores produced the best, most durable tools. Across Europe, they often use bog iron, which is naturally rich in phosphorus. When smelted, this element remained in the metal. Over centuries, the phosphorus helped form a thin, stable, and protective oxide film on the iron's surface, acting like a shield against moisture. So, in essence, medieval iron rusted once, created its own armor, and then stopped rusting. The most incredible example of this is still standing today. The Iron Pillar of Delhi. Forged over 1,600 years ago, this 6-ton marvel has been exposed to the open air for centuries, yet it barely shows any rust. Scientists were baffled for years until they discovered its secret: a high phosphorus content in the iron. This created a crystalline film that blocks oxygen and water from reaching the metal beneath. It's not magic, it's ancient material science at its finest. Across the medieval world, local geography shaped metallurgy in fascinating ways. In Toledo, Spain, the local iron ores naturally contained small amounts of nickel and chromium, the very elements we now add to create modern stainless steel. In India, smiths were producing wood steel, which you might know as Damascus steel. It contained carbon nanotubes, an advanced structure that scientists didn't even rediscover until the 1990s. These incredible results weren't planned in a lab. They were born from patient, hands-on experimentation and the unique chemistry of the earth right under their feet. So, how exactly did they make this super iron? Their furnaces were called bloomers, simple chimneys made of clay and stone, fueled by charcoal. Air was pumped in by hand using bellows, reaching about 1,200 degrees Celsius. This was hot enough to reduce the ore into metal, but not hot enough to completely melt it. Inside the furnace, molten slag would trickle down, while tiny particles of iron clumped together into a spongy, glowing mass called a bloom. The smith would then pull this fiery lump from the furnace and begin the real work, hammering it over and over and over. Each powerful strike welded the iron particles tighter, squeezed out excess slag, and aligned the remaining glassy fibers. This constant hammering also redistributed the carbon. Some parts of the bloom absorbed more carbon from the charcoal fire and became hard steel, while other parts remained soft, flexible iron. The final product was a complex composite material, strong, flexible, and self-protecting. Every single piece was unique. Every tool was built to last not just a lifetime, but sometimes many lifetimes. Now, compare that to modern steel. It's made to exact specifications. The same carbon level, the same purity, the same process, every single time. It's predictable, cheap, and perfect for mass production, but it's not built for endurance. In our quest for uniformity, we removed the very flaws, that gave old iron its incredible strength. In medieval times, forging was a slow and personal craft. Each blade, hinge, or nail passed through human hands dozens of times. The constant cycle of heating and hammering relieved internal stresses, sealed microcracks, and gave the iron a grain structure, almost like wood, with fibers that made it both tough and rust-resistant. Today, machines roll out giant sheets of steel at room temperature, shaping them in mere seconds. We gained incredible speed, but we lost that deep, forged-in resilience. What's truly fascinating is that these ancient blacksmiths learned through pure intuition. They didn't know the word oxidation. They didn't have microscopes or chemical formulas. They learned by sight, sound, and touch, by the color of the glowing metal, the ring of the hammer, and the feel of the finished tool. They weren't just making objects. They were creating living materials that aged gracefully with time, rather than decaying. This old iron is still with us today, in bridges, gates, and tools dug from medieval ruins, often still strong enough to be used. It is a powerful reminder of something we seem to have forgotten. Durability used to be the goal. A medieval axe wasn't made for a quick profit. It was made with the expectation that your grandchildren would one day use it. We call it progress when we make things faster, lighter, and cheaper. But sometimes, progress means forgetting what already worked perfectly well. Maybe it is time we relearn what the old blacksmiths knew instinctively, that true perfection isn't about removing every flaw, but about understanding how to use them wisely. So the next time you see an old, rusted iron gate or a medieval tool in a museum, don't just see it as a relic. See it as proof that the past still has profound lessons to teach the future. Thanks for watching! If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from our forgotten past. See you next time.